And we are live, Toronto Stevie live. So I guess uh, Nasty Neil has an interview tomorrow night, Wednesday night, followed by I guess IYH afterwards. I may or may not get on, but I will deliver the raw report and put it on Facebook and Twitter and my YouTube channel. Like and subscribe if you would like. I doing a lot more wrestling posts than anything else, and so let's get to the Raw report coming to you this week from Laredo, Texas, and it's then, now, and forever. There's a video of last week on Raw in which Jacob Fatu challenges Roman Reigns, and Raw starts off with a video of Roman Reigns and the Usos, and basically Roman is talking to the Jimmy and Jay Uso, um, and he basically says that uh, that there are consequences, and that he is going to confront Jacob Fatu later in the night, and he may have a new name for maybe it's no longer the Bloodline, because he ended this segment or this video by saying Jimmy, I think it was Jey Uso, said family first, and Roman Reigns corrected him and said, no, it's the first family. So I'm wondering if that's going to be the new name for this faction, the first family. We go backstage, and Jacob Fatu is just shown backstage. And then we cut to the ring, and Seth Rollins comes out. They do the last week on Raw with Seth Rollins getting beaten up by Bron Breakker with a spear. And then he comes out, and he immediately cuts a promo on Bron Breakker. First of all, he talks about losing the match to Gunther at WrestleMania, but it was not because Gunther was better than him. It was because of Bron Breakker. And he talks about how Bron Breakker has 9 staples in the back of his head, alluding to the chair shot that Seth Rollins gave him. Put staples in Bron Breakker's head, and that did look like a pretty vicious chair shot, I must admit. But he's got to get back to business, and so he immediately calls out Bron Breakker, and he wants to finish it, but they didn't actually. They just cut a promo. Bron Breakker came down to the ring. I think he had Paul Heyman with him, but he didn't have Seth Rollins and Austin Theory with him. They came up later in the show. Heyman just stayed in the corner. Bron Breakker got into Seth Rollins' face, and then Seth looked at him, and he said, you're the reason, he tells Bron Breakker, you're the reason I had to forfeit the World Heavyweight Championship, and why he didn't main event WrestleMania, and why he lost at WrestleMania when Bron Breakker interfered in the match against Gunther. Breakker comes back, and he says, well, what did you give me? What did you give Bronson Reed? Every week they were like errand boys, fighting all of Seth Rollins' battles. And then Breakker goes about doing an impersonation of Seth Rollins, and his constant shtick. It was pretty funny, actually. Bron Breakker was pretty good in that. And Seth Rollins looks at Paul Heyman and calls him a dried up sack of meat, and tells Bron Breakker, "You proved everything I thought about you." A few years ago, Rollins, he says he wanted to fight the best in the world, so he calls Shawn Michaels, and Michaels tells him Bron Breakker is the best. So he agreed to fight him. He said Paul Heyman talked about bringing Bron Breakker under his ring, and Seth Rollins says, "I couldn't wait. Only a year under my tutelage, Bron Breakker could be the biggest star in the industry." So what they did in these promos, Seth Rollins and Bron Breakker, even though they are going to have a match at Backlash, while they were cutting their promos, they put each other over. First, Seth put Bron Breakker over, and then when Bron had a chance to come back, he put Seth Rollins over. So it's good old-fashioned storytelling. Build up your opponent and make the fans really want to see this match. And I think both guys did a pretty good match, a pretty good job of building each other up by just cutting these promos. I think Breakker called Seth Rollins a future first ballot Hall of Famer. But I really like the way that Seth finished this entire segment. He referred to Bron Breakker as Baby Steiner, and he complimented him on his promo. He said, "That was good. Did you do that on your own, or did you call Big Papa Pump? Did you call Big Papa Pump for your hookup?" He says, "Bron Breakker, if you think you're ready, then Backlash is in 2 weeks, and I'll give you the opportunity to prove that you're ready." So he actually ends it by saying, "I'll give you a little secret, Bron Breakker, you aren't even number 2 in your family." That was a pretty good promo. That was a pretty good build. It's only 2 weeks to Backlash, and Bron Breakker versus Seth Rollins should be one of the better matches. I fully expect, I think Bron Breakker, Seth Rollins is going to put Bron Breakker over in this match. So I'm predicting Bron Breakker will defeat Seth Rollins at Backlash. So then we start the pre-show arrivals. Bayley, Lyra Valkyria, the Judgment Day girls, Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez. Joe Hendry is making his debut on Raw. Stephanie Vaquer is showing up. And so the opening match of the night, I was looking at the time. The opening match of the night did not happen until like about 20 minutes into the show. And it was Penta versus Rusev in a non-title match. And at some point, All Ego Ethan Page came down to the ring to sit in one of those big, huge chairs at ringside beside the announcers. So this was, and they showed a video from the previous week of Rusev destroying everybody and putting Penta in the Accolade. So the match starts, and Rusev uses all of his power moves, kicks, and all of that. Penta using his flying moves. And actually, Penta didn't even get a chance to do his Canadian Destroyer in this match. He was doing a lot of drop kicks and flying around. And I think he attempted the Mexican Destroyer, but Rusev countered and got out of it. Rusev did hit the Machka kick, and he was trying to go for the Accolade, but Penta was able to get out of it and roll Rusev up for a quick win. 1, 2, 3, Penta wins the non-title match, but he doesn't have time to celebrate because Ethan Page gets in the ring, and he and Rusev attack Penta. This brings out Javon Evans. Javon Evans comes down, and I think he was able to get the that big finishing move of his, the OG cutter on Rusev, um, to save Penta. Backstage segment, they're promoting, it was the second El Grande Americano is with Los Americanos, Rio and Bravo, and they announced that there's going to be a mask versus mask match at the end of May. The original El Grande Americano versus the second El Grande Americano. I think this is on a AAA show, and you can obviously tell from cutting these promos that um, it's Ludwig Kaiser under the mask. But they announced that El Grande Americano announces that he's going to face Rey Mysterio later in the night. So coming back from the commercial break, Becky Lynch comes down to the ring for yet another in-ring promo. There's video of her winning the match at WrestleMania against AJ Lee. So Becky Lynch cuts a promo, and the long and short of it is that she's looking for competition, and so she basically issues an open challenge, and Io Sky answers the call and gets in the ring. Becky tries to get out of it, but Adam Pearce basically says, "You issued an open challenge," so he calls for a referee to get down to the ring. There's a new referee in town who officiates this match. Her name is Victoria Derrico, and it was Io Sky. Getting a lot of offense in on Becky Lynch. Becky tries to hit the manhandle slam, but Io gets out of it. Io tries to hit the over the moonsault, and Becky gets out of it. This goes through a commercial break. Coming back from the commercial break, I think the finish came when Asuka appeared out of nowhere, interfered in the match behind the referee's back. Becky hits a second manhandle slam and pins Io Sky 1, 2, 3. So Becky Lynch retains the Intercontinental title. When the match is over, Asuka gets in the ring and hits the Asuka lock on Io Sky. So it certainly seems like oh yes, and when she did this, the crowd immediately erupted in a "We Want Carrie" chant, because Carrie Sane recently been released from WWE. So coming back from the commercial break, there's a locker room segment. El Grande Americano and Rey Mysterio, and they're talking about that mask versus match. Mask is May the 30th at AAA, and they make the match. They want to make this match Rey Mysterio versus El Grande later on. There's another backstage segment. Mr. Charisma himself, Byron Saxton, is with Jimmy and Jey Uso. And they talk about this first family feud with Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu. And coming back from the commercial break, another non-wrestling segment. It's a Joe Henry concert. He's in the ring with a guitar, and he starts singing. And he does sing a pretty funny song about respect the ruler. I acknowledge the OTC, but Adam Pearce, if you're listening, can you make one change for me? That's Logan Paul. Paul. Can we fire Logan Paul? And the crowd really gets into this, and they start singing along with Joe Hendry. This brings out Logan Paul and Adam and Austin Theory, who are pissed off at Joe Hendry, and the crowd's booing these guys. They get in the ring, and it looks like they're going to beat up Joe Hendry, but coming to the rescue again is the Street Profits, Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford. And once again, they mix it up with tag team champions, and they save Joe Hendry. So I don't know when Joe Hendry is actually going to have a wrestling match on Monday Night Raw, because like the tag team champions are going to be looks like facing the Street Profits. But if they do have a singles match, like maybe have Joe Hendry singles taking on Austin Theory or Logan Paul one-on-one, that certainly would be a good way to debut him. Backstage, Adam Pearce is with Grayson Waller. Grayson Waller makes a joke saying Obafemi is overrated, and Adam Pearce counters by saying, well, maybe you should face Obafemi tonight. There's another backstage segment, Joe Hendry and the Street Profits and Seth Rollins. And then we finally get another match. I didn't time this, but it was a long time in between matches. It's Rey Mysterio versus El Grande Americano. This one had the Rio and Bravo interfering in the match. And one of these guys, I can't remember which one, tried to slip, I think it was Rayo, tried to slip the metal plate to El Grande Americano, but the original El Grande Americano shows up and stops him. This allows Rey Mysterio to hit the 619 and win the match. He drops the dime with a slingshot splash and pins the second El Grande Americano. Afterwards, the original El Grande Americano, Chad Gable, attacks Ludwig Kaiser. We go to a backstage segment with Jacob Fatu on his way to the ring. There's a video of Asuka in Japanese cutting a promo on Io Sky. Backstage segment is Obafemi. Obafemi is on his way to the ring. And when they come back from the commercial break, a very short match, Grayson Waller versus Obafemi. Grayson Waller does get a couple of offensive moves in, but Obafemi basically just hits the fall from grace on Grayson Waller and flattens him, pins him 1, 2, 3. Afterwards, Obafemi grabs a microphone and cuts a promo, and he basically announces that he wants, since there's no longer going to be a U.S. Open Challenge, United States champion issuing open challenges, Obafemi announces that he's going to issue open challenges. So anybody in the locker room who wants to take him on, he invites them to come to the ring. So we'll see if anybody even answers Obafemi's challenges. Judgment Day Clubhouse segment with the girls and Finn Balor. And they announced that there's going to be a tag team match with against Lyra Valkyria and Bayley. And keep in mind that Roxanne Perez is a native of Laredo, Texas. So coming back from the commercial break, the Laredo crowd was really putting over Roxanne Perez. They really wanted her to, cheer her since she's the hometown girl. They were even chanting, "We want Roxy," during the course of the match. When Roxanne Perez did tag into the match, a huge cheer went up from the crowd. And they didn't disappoint because Roxanne Perez was actually got the win. I think she hit Bayley with a Shining Wizard and then hit the Pop Rocks on Bayley, pinned her 1, 2, 3. So the Judgment Day win the match, and the crowd gives Roxanne Perez a big, huge round of applause. they announced that Sol Ruka will be on Raw to officially sign her Raw contract for next week. And I know I think I mentioned this on, it might have been the SmackDown summary on NXT. I thought a very reckless finish to a match when Roxanne Perez, Sol Ruka got thrown off a perch backwards through a table and may or may not have hit her head on the table. But I thought that was pretty reckless, and it was a good idea to give her a week off, a couple of weeks off to recover from that before she comes back to Monday Night Raw. So I certainly hope there's no lasting damage to that move. Again, I thought that was pretty bad and pretty reckless. So the main event segment is Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu. Roman Reigns comes down to the ring, and there's a huge OTC chant. He does the acknowledge me thing, and then this brings out Jacob Fatu, and they basically go back and forth. Yet another promo, in-ring promo, but basically Jacob basically snaps and at the end of this and puts Roman Reigns in the Tongan death grip and drops Roman to the ring ropes, and he just grabs the belt and leaves, and he dropped the belt and left, and Roman struggling to get the microphone again, and he basically says, Jacob, you want me at Backlash? I'll see you at Backlash. And this is how Raw ended, with just Jacob Fatu going up the rampway and Roman Reigns just standing there. A lot of promos, backstage segments, and very little wrestling. I think you can already figure out that I'm going to give this week's Monday Night Raw a huge thumbs down. Did not like this. Raw very much. When you do too many of these things, one right after the other in between matches, it really makes the whole show go very slow, and it's a slog to get through. So I'm not surprised. So don't be too surprised if I give it a thumbs down. But I guess I got one comment to read. It's Anthony Chobo. How are you, buddy? How are you doing? By the way, you should watch OnlyFans. I don't know. Don't know what that is. Sorry. But Anthony, did you watch Monday Night Raw? And if so, what did you think? I did not like it. I wish they had done more in-ring wrestling. We did not need all of these promos. You could have sprinkled them out. You got 2 more weeks until Backlash. You could sprinkle some of these things out rather than trying to shove them all into one show, because it's just it just was not good. But that was Monday Night Raw. Like and subscribe to my channel. I will put this on my YouTube channel, my Facebook page, and the In Your Head Wrestling Radio Facebook page. Tune in tomorrow night. I think Nasty Neil has an interview with Dusty Wolf, who used to work for the WWF. When that's finished, I guess he's going to do an In Your Head afterwards. I may or may not get on that show. What's this? Anthony Chobo agrees with me. His comment is, it sucked. Yes, Anthony, it did very much. So tune in tomorrow night, In Your Head Wrestling Radio, Wednesday night. I don't know when he's going to get back to Tuesday nights, but if he is going to keep doing Wednesday nights, I'll put the Raw reports on Tuesday nights when I can. So thank you, everybody. I'll post this up, and I am out of here. Good night, everybody.